Welcome back to Newsmax Now. I'm Miranda Kahn. The new movie, God's Not Dead 2, is now premiering in theaters. The story revolves around a high school history teacher by the name of Grace Wesley, played by Melissa Joan Hart. She comes under fire from the school board for answering a question about Jesus in class.
Isn't that sort of like what Jesus meant when he said that we should love our enemies?
Yes. You have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you.
When Wesley refuses to apologize, the school board threatens to take away her teacher's license. Wesley is then forced to stand trial to save her career. And for more on this film, we want to welcome in actor David A.R. White, who plays Reverend Dave. Thanks so much for joining us here on Newsmax Now. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Now, David, you were actually raised in my home state of Kansas and have been a very active member of the Christian entertainment industry for decades now, both as an actor and a producer. What compelled you to go in that direction, and how would you describe the market for Christian-based films?
That's a loaded question. You know, I found myself working on a farm in outside of Dodge City, Kansas, where I'm from, in Meade, Kansas, and I had a dream in my heart to go into the entertainment industry, and it doesn't make any sense of why I had that. I was raised Mennonite, and if you know anything about the Mennonites, they make the Mormons look like a pack of Hell's Angels. We grew up very conservative,
right.
And I saw one movie in the theater the first 18 years of my life. So you know, going into the movies wasn't a normal thing that my parents thought or anybody else, but I just really had this dream, and I moved to Los Angeles. I was 19 years old, and along the way I started doing mainstream television and got cast in a Christian faith-based movie early on, and I developed a love and a passion for it, and then also I saw that we could do better on these production values, on the scripts, on the actors, and all of that, and really began my journey to use my gifts and my talents to further our faith-based genre.
Yeah, David, many Christians in this country and around the world feel that they're being persecuted for their religious beliefs. Does the same hold true for creating religious-based films such as this one?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, if you read the blogs and if you take a look at the reviews, they're not very favorable. The mainstream reviews aren't very favorable on Christian movies. Not only this one, but pretty much almost all of them. I'd say all of them, most likely. But, you know, our film, we just think it's so important. The first one was all about the existence of God. It was about a student who was defending his faith in the university setting. We had seen a lot of these cases come up, you know, about religious liberties and freedoms being taken away in our university, and that's why we created the first one. And then this one, you know, takes it a step further, and Grace, our lead character, played by Melissa Joan Hart, she's teaching, and some student actually asks her a question about Jesus, and she answers that question, not trying to preach, but just trying to be fair and answer the question. And she ends up getting sued for this, and this one takes us into the public square, and it kind of just expands on the stuff that's happening in our society right now.
David, what do you hope viewers take away, though, from watching this film?
Well, first and foremost, you know, anytime you make a movie, you want people to be entertained, and then you know, we want them to be inspired and encouraged. And I think that's what happened in the first one. You know, it was the #1 independent movie, live-action movie of 2014. It broke all kinds of records because people kept coming back. I did a poll one time just to see how many people had gone, and people had, I think the most was like 18 times they had gone to the theater to see God's Not Dead. And so people want to be inspired in their faith. You know, you turn on the news and there's just so much negative out there on an ongoing basis, and these movies are about the celebration of your faith, of your belief, and something that doesn't normally happen in Hollywood. And that's why, you know, it's so important to put these movies in the theaters and then to have people support them and go see them.
I look forward to seeing it. David A.R. White. The movie is called God's Not Dead 2, and it's now in theaters, so be sure to check it out. Thanks for joining us here on Newsmax Now. There's still much more to come.